one of our little projects today is going to be putting in a little enclosure for some adapting barn cats to our property. And I'm going to show you this back end of our barn. We've been storing our hay down here only because we have some leaks in the roof and we don't want to store it upstairs quite yet. But there is a loft in this barn. This is a really old barn. It still has wiring. This end of the barn actually has a log structure holding it together, and it's really sturdy. The bones to this barn are really good. It's very sturdy. The structure is really good. I really like it. We've talked about whether or not we should tear down the barn or rebuild. There's a lot of leaking. The roof needs to be replaced. However, a lot of the basic structure is really good and strong. I guess barns aren't always built like they used to be. And so we had a lot of fun digging through here and finding a lot of things. We had a cleaning crew come in and clean up a bit. There's still a few things left, like the scale and this grinder. I have a friend that took a seed sorter. But yeah, as you can see, even though we have no power running to the barn, there was electrical hookups and wiring at some point. And it has a pretty big door here that swings out. I'll go upstairs real quick. Again, the structure is really good. So we're hoping to really revamp this. And I don't know if we're going to use it for the horse once we get the downstairs part finished. There'll be really good hay storage up here in the loft. And there's a little rat's nest back there. So as you can see, we definitely need barn kitties. So that's part of the reason that we're going to do this. Aside from the hay, they haven't really had any other source of food in here because the dogs eat as soon as we feed them. So we were thinking for right now, just to have a little holding area to acclimate barn kitties. The best way to acclimate a barn cat is usually to have them in an enclosed area for a couple of weeks, so they know where the food is, they know where the food source is. So we were thinking this area under the stairs, so that's going to be one of our little projects today. So there's space between each of the stairs, so we're going to have to maybe run some chicken wire and make a little enclosure here, a little room where they can hang out. It'll have a warm bed and their feeding station, and it'll always be a go-to place for them in the future. Down the road, we might make it upstairs, but for right now, we thought this would be the easiest thing to do. So that's it. So this is kind of one of our projects for the day is we're going to get this measured out, maybe run some chicken wire and an enclosure. I have a friend that has a large catio that he'd made and offered up, but I'm almost thinking it's going to be harder to get that hauled out here rather than just make a little kitty shed in the meantime. Rest of our barn needs a lot of work. We went ahead and sectioned off one of our stalls for Sisu, and she's been staying in there, and then we keep Sully into a larger dog kennel on the other side. And again, this barn is going to need new walls, new structure, or new enclosed stalls. So we don't know if at some point, we think they were running pigs in here because there's kind of not a trough, but like a drain section that they run through. I think that was how they cleaned up in the barn down years ago. It's got some doors, and there was some kind of built-in troughs. So a work in progress for sure. That was an old metal, I think it was a dolly to run hay. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. But like I said, this barn has good structure, and so with the cost of lumber and everything else, I think it's going to be more affordable for us to go ahead and rebuild and put a new roof on than it would be to build a brand new barn. So the sooner we get that done, the better. We're looking forward to that, and we want to get these guys outside soon as well. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough on the outside. One thing we discovered today is that, well, I've noticed this the last few days, this lower end of our property doesn't get a lot of sun, and it's mainly because the trees are right along this area. I don't know what direction we're facing at the moment. But that means that this enclosure that I thought was going to be great for the horse may not be great in the winter. It'll be good in the summer. Jenny's very curious and wanting to show off for the camera. Hi, Jenny. Good morning, love. I think she's hoping there's treats involved. She's definitely a dominant girl. You be nice to the goats. Hi, Jenny. But what we've noticed is, here it is the middle of the day, and it's still really icy on the ground, and we haven't had any snow. So this is all just dew and frost. Hi, Treebeard. Because we had talked at one time, you'll see there's a lot of outdoor structures. There's a burn pile from stuff we dug out of the barn. There's another old building over there. So we have talked about putting a little fenced area over here as well, but it's not going to get a lot of sunlight, and that concerns me for the horse. So we may do an enclosure up by the house for wintertime, to have the horse and then just rotate, which is what I wanted to do in the long run. Pasture rotation keeps the soil healthy, and it helps with parasite control. So I think in the long run, that's going to be the goal anyway. Yeah, now you can see the outside of this barn. I don't know. I have a thing for old barns, and I know this isn't beautiful, but it's got good bones, and I'm really looking forward to trying to. I've envisioned what I think it could be. I'm looking forward to trying to get finished on this. It sits on a pretty high base, but again, the floor is really good. The structure is really good at the bottom of the barn, but you can see coming around the edge of it that it sits pretty high up. So I'll probably just walk around this back section here and show everybody the back end of it. This is where there's that outside door. This is the enclosure on the other side that we're going to be running real soon here. You can see where Eric's put the posts in. Wow, see, this is probably a good 4 feet of space underneath this barn. I'm sure if there were stories to tell, there's history in this land, and it's been interesting as we dig through things and find things, figuring out just how it is that they ran this property. So this little enclosure out here is going to be where we're going to initially put goats and sheep, and I'll be talking about the breeds that we're looking at. There's a little adorable breed of long-haired hairy sheep that I want to get. And I'm looking and researching goat breeds. I'd like to get goats for milk eventually. So that's something that we're keeping in mind as well. And as Lily gets a little older, she might like to show goats for 4-H. So that's another thing we've thought about. This little structure was actually built to be used for some peacocks that they had. But we're also thinking it'll make a good little shelter for the dogs when they're outside with the goats and the sheep. So that's where we're at. And I'm going to be posting a few different little videos today. I'll try to splice them together, but if that doesn't work, obviously there's going to need to be a ramp on this door. You can see how high that is. If that doesn't work, I'll be posting a bunch of small videos today. But I'm looking forward to just planning out the upcoming projects and then sharing those with everybody. We're having some water issues today. I might talk about that in a little bit. This is where the gate will be, right here. So they put this up. We'll have a swinging gate right here. And then this whole little area will be enclosed. And we'll be able to rotate with that pasture and the pasture where the goats are right now. And we're hoping to get Jenny moved maybe this weekend. Oh, looks like Daddy brought some treats for Jenny. Because this enclosure is also served very well for the goats, and we'll be able to run the goats and sheep back and forth. And again, that'll help with our pasture control. Our water hoses are up there, our faucets, and then Eric ran one down here, so when it's not freezing, we are able to fill the water troughs and buckets for the goats and the sheep. So today we had to haul some from up by the house. So. And that's about it, and we'll move on to the next topic in a little bit here.